What's up, everybody? I'm here standing in Islandia at the largest 3D printed home in the country. I'm here with the handsome home buyer himself, the man behind the plan. Tell us what we're standing in front of.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Always a pleasure.
Hell yeah.
All right, handsome home buyer, we are standing in front of 42 Dean Street, which is a 2,000 square foot, fully 3D printed house. And let me explain what that is briefly so everybody understands, because SQ4D, you could see over there, is the only company that is doing this in the world. We 3D print subterranean, so forms, footings, foundation, interior, and exterior walls. And when we're done with this in about 30 days, it is going to be the largest 3D printed house in the country. It's gonna be speculatively built and sold.
So we're here because we've been following the progress. We've been watching the videos, the sick videos, I might add.
Thank you.
But so many people have questions.
Yeah.
You just answered one of my first ones. When is this bad boy gonna be ready? 30 days-ish?
Let's call it 60, 30 to 60 days.
I love that. Always give yourself a little buffer time. When did you start it, and how long is the whole entire process?
So this isn't really an accurate representation of how quickly these are gonna go.
Okay.
So
well, it's the first one, so it's gonna take a little longer, I'm assuming?
for a number of different reasons. A, we had massive supply chain issues with everything that was going on with COVID.
Yep.
B, we were demonstrating for a number of different people. We've had a lot of press here.
Yep.
We've had a lot of big developers.
Makes
We've
sense.
had a lot of big investors come by, and we wanted them to see the process
Absolutely.
happening. Plus, we wanted to document it for TikTok, Instagram, and social media.
Totally.
So typically, you build a house on an average of 6 months.
Yep.
With a 3D printed house, it's gonna cut that time in half. It's gonna be
Wow.
approximately 3 months.
Wow. So that's incredible, actually. I'm super excited. I've never seen a 3D printed house before. Let's go inside and take a look.
Let's go.
So tell us right off the bat, why is there a tarp on top?
Okay, so obviously the walls are hollow, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the roof system is coming in. It's a wood truss system, which I'll explain in a little while.
Okay.
But to make a long story short, there's insulation in these walls, which you can see coming out here.
Oh, you could actually see it coming out.
And we don't want water in there, because once everything gets sealed
Absolutely.
up, so we have the tarp on, the roof truss system is coming in
Yep.
literally 6 days.
Wow, that's
The roof
solid.
is gonna go on.
That's solid.
Solid is this thing is literally built like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
It's never going anywhere. This possibly could be the most well-built house in the country. I joke and say, what's gonna last longer, this house or the pyramids?
Yeah.
And people like to fight about it, but let's sneak
Let's
our
go
way
inside.
in here.
Yeah.
So as you can see, right, it's obviously made out of concrete,
Yep.
but it's your typical ranch. 4
Yep.
bedroom, 2 bathroom, you have your open layout, you have your kitchen, dining room,
Got
living room. People like to get all wrapped up in the fact that it's a 3D printed house, but at the end of the day, for all like the fancy machinery and the technology, it's just a house that's built out of concrete.
It's gonna be the same looking house when it's done. Yeah.
The machine can do anything and everything you want, whatever your heart desires. So
Got
it's
it.
super versatile, more versatile than, just traditional stick build. But
it.
it's a concrete house.
Yep.
You go to Puerto Rico, you go to any tropical island, you go to Europe, they have concrete houses.
Yeah, gotcha.
The method of which we do this is very efficient and very cool and saves a lot of money and is much better as far as quality goes. But at the end of the day, it's just a concrete house.
Gotcha. So right off the bat, when you talk about the method,
Yeah.
what are some like buyer benefits? So like you talk about the method of buying a house, right? So it's half the timeline of buying a house. So you have more inventory coming onto the market in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Talk to me then about a buyer benefit with insurance.
Okay.
How are we gonna insure this bad boy differently than a regular built home? And then are there any tax benefits from a 3D printed house concrete?
Okay.
And then also too, buyer benefit, can we throw solar panels on the roof when we're done?
Okay, so let's hit the first one. As far as insurance, insurance companies love this house.
Love it.
Love it. Your insurance is gonna be significantly cheaper. Why?
Because it's not going anywhere.
It doesn't burn.
Okay. Oh, true.
It can't flood.
Yep.
Insects aren't gonna eat the walls and it's gonna fall down.
All great. Oh, wow.
It's concrete.
See, this is what people are not thinking about when they look at the videos
Yeah.
and see how they're built. No insects, no flooding, not falling down. That's amazing.
It's fiber. I mean, listen, you're a real estate agent. You
Yep.
sell a lot of houses, you see a lot of houses.
Yep.
I flip a lot of houses. I'm buying houses that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. We rip down the sheetrock, there's rotted wood.
Nightmares behind the sheetrock. Yep.
But you don't have that here
Yep.
because nothing is going to happen
Yep.
to a concrete wall. Just so that you understand also, this is roughly 9,000 PSI concrete. Wow. Do you want to touch it?
It's actually the first thing I've wanted to do since coming here, is just touch it.
So it's roughly 9,000 PSI concrete, which
Cool.
is the same stuff that essentially they built skyscrapers with.
Okay, awesome.
This house is not going anywhere.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's
So
not.
the first is the insurance.
Yep.
Second question was buyer benefits, taxes.
Taxes.
So it's really based off of square footage, construction costs, whatever algorithm they have at the time.
Yep.
My guess is there's not going to be a property tax benefit to it.
Got it.
Unless they're doing some kind of a green initiative or some kind of an IDA program in a development, which we're doing.
Yep.
So the answer to that is yes.
Solar panels, can we do that?
This house is actually, check it out. So this house is going to have solar panels.
Wow, nice.
It's going to have an electric heat pump system. It's going to have, that runs the heat, so the solar power is going to take care of that.
Okay.
It's going to have a Tesla charging station in the garage.
Wow.
It's actually also going to have a basin where the rainwater comes down, gets captured underground, and it irrigates the lawn.
Stop.
Yep.
That's pretty wild.
Very cool.
Tell me about the heating and cooling then. What are we doing here with the heating and cooling?
So standard electric heat pump system, which I actually use in a lot of houses where gas isn't available.
Okay.
It's pretty much as efficient as gas, but way better than oil.
Okay.
So here what we're doing is it's heat and AC in one, HVAC system, ductwork all around. Yeah, forced hot air, ductwork all around.
Cool.
You know, not like one of those split units where there's, you know, units popping in each room.
Central air, forced hot air with both.
Exactly.
Got it.
And depending on the location of the house and how the sun hits it, you're going to be living for very little, if not free.
Awesome. So as we move to the house, tell us where we're standing now. What room is this going to be?
So this is like a utility / mudroom. So obviously the garage is over here. You walk in, we have washer, dryer,
cool.
hot water heater,
cool.
drain in the middle, water's coming in here. The electrical service is going to be here also.
Awesome. And then as we go through the house, so is it a concrete foundation? Tell me about the foundation.
Yeah, so, and this is the one thing that makes, not the one thing, but one of the many things that makes SQ4D totally different and awesome compared to everybody else, which is we actually 3D print the foundations.
Wow.
So any other 3D print company that I'm aware of, they will pour the foundation through traditional means, and then they will print some of the walls, mostly exterior walls.
Okay.
Whereas we're doing everything with the machine.
Wow.
So we have 3 people building a house.
Wow.
We excavate, they 3D print the forms, which usually forms are made out of wood.
Yep.
And then you pour concrete in there with rebar.
Yep.
We 3D print the forms and then backfill and put the rebar in so the form becomes part of the footing.
That's genius, actually.
And then we 3D print the slab, which we're standing on right now, as opposed to bringing in a cement truck. We 3D print the entire thing, same three people. And there's no downtime in between. It's consistent.
You just keep on going, yeah.
We just keep going. So it's forms, backfill, footings, foundation, interior, exterior walls, and the house just seems to rise out of the ground.
So then with that, is the plumbing's under the slab?
Yeah, so the plumbing, in this particular case, the plumbing is done first.
Yep.
So we have level ground, we stake out where the plumbing is gonna come in.
Got it.
We dig, the plumbing goes underground, comes up, and then we 3D print around the plumbing.
Got it. So the majority of the house is built around the plumbing and the foundation of what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so the plumbing is always, but that's standard for any, this is slab on grade, right?
Yep.
So if we had a basement, it would be a different story.
Totally.
We're not currently doing basements, but in the very near future, we're gonna be 3D printing basements.
Cool.
So same thing, when you do a slab on grade foundation like this, you have to run your underground plumbing first.
Yep.
It comes up, then you usually pour around it, we 3D print around.
Okay, cool. And then what's this room back here?
This is the garage.
Okay, so as we go into the garage, tell me, because I've been asked this question multiple times as people are chatting. We go to networking events and people talk about what's going on here.
Yep.
I've heard it in multiple conversations. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, because there's not too many of these in the country and around the world. Do you think there might be any health concerns 20 years from now, 30 years from now, from living in a house that's built with concrete versus strictly wood foundation?
Well, obviously I'm not a doctor, right? And we just started pretty, but going back to what I know, what we talked about before is there's concrete houses all over the world. The technology is new, but concrete is literally the oldest and most tested product substance next to water.
So tell me about the design. Is this how it's gonna look like when you have people moving in? Are you doing sheetrock on top of it? Tell me what you're doing as a design standpoint.
So again, the sky is the limit. For me, I love the line look. We're gonna leave it because with this house, we are embracing exactly what this is, which is a 3D printed concrete house.
Awesome.
So obviously we're in the bathroom right now. Yep. There's gonna be tile all here and around, but we're gonna be leaving the lines throughout the entire house. It's gonna be painted, it's gonna look beautiful. But if you want, you can stucco it. We're working on an attachment that smooths this out, that swirls and prints on top of it.
Gotcha.
You can put sheetrock on it, but it kind of like defeats the purpose.
Yep.
These houses cost 40% less.
I was gonna ask that too than
your average house for a number of different reasons.
Okay.
But one of those reasons is no sheetrock. So if it would normally cost me
Less material.
$12,000 to sheetrock this house.
Yeah.
That's $12,000 that just came off the bottom line.
Yep.
On top of, let's say, outside, right? You're gonna have the 3D printing on the outside.
Yep.
You don't have sheathing, Tyvek, insulation, outside insulation, siding.
Yep.
So there you go. Then you're saving another $10,000, $15,000.
Now tell me, so we're in the bathroom here. My assumption is this is double vanity.
Yep.
How are we putting a mirror up here? How are you can you put pictures on the walls? Tell me about that.
See, it's really, it's funny because I think that's probably the #1 question we ask, which is, how do you hang something on the wall? How do you hang something on the wall?
Yeah.
This is this concrete is very simple. It's 3 pieces, it's basically 3 materials. It's water, it's Portland, it's sand.
Okay.
So you could take a drill, put one of those little rubber plastic molly in there and just hang a picture the same way you do it in a sheetrock house.
Okay, cool.
No
That's
difference.
So now as we walk into the bedrooms, let's take a look at some of the bedrooms here. What happens if, let's say, a year, 2, 3 years goes by and your family either, grows or you have family move in? Can you knock down a wall if you wanted to in the future? Tell me about that. What are renovations looking like?
Okay, so obviously it's concrete, so it's a little bit different than wood.
Yep.
But all the interior walls, none of them are structural. So everything rests on the outside. So the roof truss system is gonna be resting here.
Got it.
And then going all the way across. So if you want to cut this, sledgehammer it, open it up.
Nothing's load bearing.
You can absolutely do that without a problem.
That's very
Any
interesting.
electric that's in the walls, you can just cap off or pull the wire out and terminate it.
Okay.
And then that's it, you're done. You can have the bigger room, you can add on, you can do anything you want.
Wow, that's great. That's interesting. So as we talk about design, renovations, hanging pictures on the wall, tell me about this crack. Because if I come in and I see this crack and I know, an inspector comes in and then the dad comes in, oh, the dad's gonna be like, you're not buying this house, I'll tell you that right now. Dads are not gonna like this crack. Tell me about it.
Okay, so basically, concrete cracks. It has to, it's supposed to.
Yep.
If it doesn't crack, you have a problem.
Okay.
Because everything's settled. So every single house I've ever built, every single house that you've been in, you go into the basement, there are stress cracks. Everywhere. Things move, it's just the nature of the beast. It's not structural. Once it's a ½ an inch, then you have a structural problem. But a little crack like this, no big deal.
Okay.
But what we're gonna do in a case like this is, you're not even gonna end up seeing it. So we print the house, there's a number of stress cracks around the house, it cracks, we fill it in with epoxy.
Just like you would any other foundation.
Yeah, we paint it, we paint over it, you don't even see it, you don't even know it's there.
I literally have a small crack like this on the foundation of my home. I filled it 1, 2, 3, done. Yep. So as you mentioned previously, the cost benefits. So it costs less to build this home. So tell me about the cost benefits, where you're taking any of that extra money with that. So like before we talked about sheetrocking. A normal house like this would be about $12,000 to $15,000 to sheetrock. You have now that extra money to play with. What's your thought process on saving money and spending it elsewhere? And then how are you comping this bad boy out? Are you comping it to regular 4-bedroom, 1-bath ranches in this area? Are you comping it differently? Tell me about that.
Okay, so I'm gonna know different things. If a builder is speculatively building it and we're gonna put it on the market, now we'll talk about comping in a second, but ultimately the market's gonna decide what it's worth.
True.
Doesn't matter what I want, what you want, what Scott wants, the market's gonna decide.
Okay.
Do they think this is awesome? Do they not? Do they compare it to a regular house? What is it?
Okay.
Now, if I was going to build the house myself, I'm gonna save a lot of time and I'm gonna save a lot of money. If I'm hiring a contractor to do it, I'm gonna save 30, 40%. I'm gonna save 30, 40% in time also. Now, the big thing is I'm gonna get regardless of if I save money or not, I'm gonna get a far, far superior product. It's a much, much, much better product.
Which is always the most important.
It's gonna last longer, all of that. Cheaper insurance,
I'd rather you take a little bit longer and give me a better product as a home buyer buying something flipped or built.
So this is another thing that the machine does, which most people don't understand. Now, we'll get into the cost savings and how I move that money around, but it basically, this house couldn't have been built here if not for this machine, meaning what I had to pay for the land, I couldn't afford to stick build a house here and make money. So what the 3D printing machine actually does is it turns most deals that aren't good for normal people into a viable option because you're saving so much money on the build.
I love that.
Now, what we're also doing is we're doing the cool stuff like the solar panels, the Tesla charger station, the irrigation system outside.
That I've never heard of before. That's crazy.
That's a lot of that's a lot of money. Like the next step is to do a full gray water system where you're recycling water. It's as green as you can get.
Wow.
The insulation R value is excellent, is far better than it usually is.
I could see it pop, like this foam popping everywhere. Like if you look at the foam over here, it's coming out everywhere. That's great. You want to see that. There you go.
As far as comping it out, I am going to compare it to any other 2,000 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom ranch in Islandia, in the school district, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna see what happens. Listen, this has never been done before.
Yeah.
So I can't sit here and tell you what's gonna happen. People might come, this is what I can promise you. It is going to be the most viewed and most attended open house.
You're gonna have a line down the block, around the block.
It's gonna be a circus.
Give your neighbors a heads up.
We're gonna be doing an open house basically daily for a week because there's no way we're gonna be able to handle the influx of people that just wanna see something like this.
Couldn't agree more.
But people might come in and say, you know what? I want to own the largest 3D printed house in the country, and they might spend some insane money.
You're definitely gonna have people come just to check it out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Or they might say, listen, it's a house just like any other house. Houses are selling for $500,000. I'll make up a number.
Yep.
I'm gonna pay $500,000. We don't know.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
regardless, whoever gets it, they're getting a much better product. They're getting the first of everything.
Yeah, it's great.
And it comes with a ton of cool technological bells
and just
whistles.
being in here, like instead of just seeing everything that you're doing on social with it, actually being in here, you get to see like the beauty of the product. Because when you're watching it being built, you're like, you have so many questions and you're like, is that actually gonna work? But then when you're standing in here, you're like, you can literally touch, see, smell, and see how solid this is.
Yeah.
And see how it's going to definitely work.
It is, and I love an industrial look. I like the warmth of wood. I like metal.
Yeah.
I like that type of look.
I love the lines. I love that. Yeah.
So finally, it was interesting because we're printing this house and I'm like, we're doing this because when I die, I want to know that I did as much cool shit as possible.
Yeah.
And who the hell gets to 3D print one of the first largest open 3D print houses in the country? But there was a point where we got to about the doors and I walked in and I wander around the site just thinking after hours. And it like hit me and I fell in love and I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Think about this for a second. Builders come in and developers come in like myself and they buy old industrial buildings that are concrete and they expose the walls and they put funky fixtures in.
All the time.
And it's this like boutique type of thing.
Totally.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is industrial meets suburbia in the coolest way.
Yeah. Are you gonna paint or are you gonna leave it like this?
We're gonna paint it. So we're gonna paint it. It's gonna be like a we have our in-house designer who goes through everything.
Cool.
So what we're gonna do is we're going to put a lot of wood accents. We're gonna put different raw metals. We're gonna paint it a very, very light gray.
Okay, cool.
So this way it warms up the space.
Totally.
Like when you're walking through here, it's cool, but you kind of feel like you're in Shea Stadium or Yankee Stadium.
Oh, yeah, I got
right?
you.
And it's just too much concrete.
Yep.
Once we balance the concrete with like the warmth of wood and other accent materials, it's gonna pop.
Do you know what you're doing floors-wise yet?
Wood floors.
Okay.
So we're coming in with hardwood floors.
Cool.
So we're gonna have wide plank hardwood floors.
Sweet.
It's gonna be a super cool industrial look.
Let's go take a look at another room in the house.
All right.
So right off the bat, you come in here, you see this blue cable right here. Tell me about this.
Okay, so this brings obviously utilities. A lot of people like electric, plumbing, how
I
does
want
it
to
work?
know all about it.
Plumbing we spoke about, it comes up, it comes out through the walls. Very important to kind of talk about real quick is the walls are hollow.
Okay.
So basically there's two beads that are printed.
Okay.
The entire wall is 8 inches wide.
Okay.
But there's a 5-inch void and it has rebar in the middle.
Okay.
So there's a 5-inch void, you have room. So the plumbing comes up out of the ground.
Got it.
Same thing with the electrical.
Okay.
So before we lay the slab down, we run all the electric. So the electric comes in and then it loops and comes up through the slab and then we 3D print around it.
Got it.
So what you're seeing here is the electric is in this conduit.
Okay.
So if it needs to be serviced, it can be pulled out and snake through. If you ever have an issue with a wire down the road, not a big deal. You could just pull the wire, snake another wire through and you're good. It's encased in this.
Got it. Now what happens if I want to add another outlet somewhere? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I understand technology is always advancing, right? It's always turning. Tell me what's coming down the pipe though.
Okay, so a bunch of different things.
Okay.
One, we have the truss roof.
Okay.
This is basically a truss roof is a manufactured wood roof. It's built in a manufacturing facility.
Okay.
It pops on, you put the roof on top of it, you're good to go.
So they're not building it here, they're building it somewhere else and bringing it here.
Exactly.
Cool.
That's been used for decades.
Okay.
This is the last house we do like that. So going forward, the roofs are gonna be 3D printed.
Wow.
So the more we 3D print, the faster it becomes, the more money we save.
Okay.
So the roofs are now gonna be 3D printed in the future. We have another one of these going up in Wisconsin. It's gonna start in a few months.
Okay.
That roof is gonna be 3D printed.
With concrete?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
So it's 3D printed, so there's that. Other things we're working on, we have virtual reality. So basically people get to design the house in virtual reality.
Wow.
So you sit down, you put the goggles on, you're in the street in your house, you walk into the house, you sit on your couch, you move walls.
I have a
you
feeling
buy
that's where we're
furniture.
going to. 30 years from now, 40 years from now, maybe even less than that.
That's it.
You're going to be walking in. You're going to go into a showcase room, the handsome showcase room, right? You walk in, throw the goggles on, tell me what you want. You know, you watch them walk through. I'll take this. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. Build us that house. I have a feeling that's where we're going as well for new construction.
Without a doubt.
Would this be considered new construction?
This is new construction, absolutely.
Okay.
We're also messing around with recycled plastics. So taking recycled plastics and then using them to 3D print other things in the house, like doors, trim, cabinets, countertops, etc.
Gotcha.
So the point is to automate the process of building a house as much as possible to reduce time and costs.
Got it.
Because inflation's a big problem. Things are unbelievably expensive. And another huge problem is you can't get people to work.
That's huge.
You can't get labor, skilled labor that wants to do this type of work. It's very difficult.
And now, but you won't have that issue here. You're going to have that elsewhere with a new build. Now, and then talk about inflation, how everything's just so expensive. That's going to be huge moving forward because we don't know where inflation's going to go. So with that leads me into my next question of how is this a new construction? Because we know what happens with taxes in new construction. Tell me about the tax process now. Like, so you have to finish here, and then does the town have to come in and inspect everything? Talk to me about the towns as well. Have they given you an issue? How's that been?
So Riverhead was where the first one was built. They were absolutely amazing.
Okay, cool.
We're in Islandia, which is a village.
Okay.
The mayor loved the man to death. He gave us a great opportunity. He was unbelievably supportive. The building department is great.
Awesome.
They come and do all the inspections.
Because that could be a headache, as you know, flipping, building. The towns,
Most towns are not that easy.
Yep.
The village has been an absolute pleasure to deal with, as Riverhead has been as well.
Cool.
As far as the assessing, that's obviously done at the county level. What I will say is the mayor has done such an amazing job here. He brought Jake's 58 in. So from what I understand, the village taxes have actually gone down every year because of the revenue that he brings in from Jake's 58.
I love that. So this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm super excited to see what the future has. It's been an awesome journey following you on social and following SQ4D to see what's going on with this. But thank you so much for taking the time, answering the people's questions, and we're excited for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You can always reach out to me, any social media platforms, @handsome_homebuyer, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
Hold on, I'll do it for you. If you have a house that smells like cat pee.
I want to buy it. I want to buy it.
He wants to buy it. I don't, okay?
I do.
He does.
516-777-SOLD.